The strong rule the weak. That's the bottom line.
And it's
Yeah, the strong rule the weak. I don't have a problem with aspects of black magic and Satanism. I don't have any problem at all with it. And you know, that might piss some people off, but you want me to sit here and be as honest as I can.
that's the honest answer.
Let me ask you this. Are you aware of planned Earth changes in the near future? Have you been made aware of anything like that?
I've been told that there's planned nuclear strikes on American soil, which is going to change the whole geography.
Okay.
And then people asking me when this will happen, but there's a recent nuclear explosion in Texas in the last couple of months.
In the
Factory, if you look at it, well, you can see the big mushroom cloud. So people are saying, a couple of people said, well, I don't believe these nuclear strikes are going to happen. But I was told from high-level sources they will. And then people say, well, when they're going to happen, but they're happening.
Well, right. I was told that Syria, in fact, I mean, it's veterans today. Gordon Duff is talking about there's ample evidence that they've used nukes in Syria, for example. You know anything about that?
I don't know about that.
I'm not too familiar with the whole Syria situation.
Okay, so I guess the question is whether or not you're aware, like, because in a sense, as super soldiers, you report to somebody, and so you also have to know who you don't report to, who the enemy is, if you will. How do you recognize the enemy in a scenario such as we've got here on Earth, where, in essence, we're approaching what is in essence a one world government, but there's definitely areas where they're more loyal to, let's say, if you want to call it the Zionist faction. I'm not sure if that actually is the split you're making, because I do see what you're talking about, but I get a feeling that at times they're working together, so it's really confusing. But what I'm asking is, in essence, is how do you tell who the good guys are, from your point of view?
Okay, well,
what I would consider a good guy is not who you would consider.
True.
In essence, the super soldiers are bred to kill, so there's always an enemy.
There always has to be an enemy. The enemy. Okay, well, the enemy.
Now is they're instigating a race war in America, and that's they're socially engineering it for a race war against blacks and whites, because they're trying to reduce the population, so they're targeting blacks in America as the first group, and it's an extension of what was going on in Africa with depopulating the blacks in Africa with engineered AIDS and things like that. So they're engineering social situations in America now, and then that group is being currently targeted, you know, the blacks in America, and there's a lot of race issues being brought into the media, like Obama's talking about, let's talk about race. In the media, a lot of things are focusing on race to get people's mindsets geared up for that. And it's, I mean, in essence, it's a continuation of social engineering programs from Haight-Ashbury in the 60s in San Francisco. You know, the Manson family, of Manson murders, and he was programmed at China Lake for that, for the social engineering. You know, Charles Manson was talking about Helter Skelter, and which was a race war, an apocalyptic race war in America between blacks and whites.
With the Beatles triggering
and the
music.
The Beatles triggered that, the Helter Skelter song, and then that was the Manson murders were supposed to trigger that, and that was, you know, the Helter Skelter race war was supposed to start in Haight-Ashbury.
The hippie colony in San Francisco.
At the moment, I mean, that actually sounds sort of passé, in a sense. It doesn't. Of course, I live in LA, and it just doesn't seem realistic at this time, from my point of view. That doesn't seem like it's going to fly.
But you know,
they've often tried to, with the Fourth Reich being based on the West Coast, they've tried to trigger this helter-skelter apocalyptic race war in California. With the LA riots, they tried to do it again, and they're going to keep trying to do it until all hell breaks loose between blacks and whites in America. Because you know, to get back to the question, you said who's the current enemy? Well, the black race is being targeted currently in America. They're for Americans.
But that seem like sort of an counterintuitive if the president is at least partially black?
But what does he consider himself?
He's half black, half white, so is he loyal to the whites or is he loyal to the blacks? I'd say he's loyal to the whites, to the Rothschild.
And also, how easy would it be to trigger a race war if it was set up that the clone version of him was shot by a white supremacist? Then that would immediately trigger an uprising.
That would be a perfect scenario.
Right.
They're going to keep socially, the Fourth Reich essentially is going to keep socially engineering these situations, you know, like the Helter Skelter, the Manson in the 60s, the LA riots. Things will keep happening because they want to reduce the population, so they need to start with target groups.